on. So Sherry, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and begin.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And thank you guys for being here. My agenda for tonight is my introduction, PPE facility visited, overview of the LTAC, organization chart structure, credentialing process, my conclusion, and then I have a slide for references. Introduction. Hi everybody, my name is Sherry Nolte and I am a senior in the Health Information Management program at the College of St. Scholastica. And I will be graduating this spring. I have my associates in nursing and I've worked for over 20 years in that field. I have worked in many different fields of nursing, OB, medical surgical units, orthopedics, and long-term acute care. I have worked for various nursing agencies as well. In 2013, I ended up having 7 knee surgeries. After recovering from those surgeries, I realized that I could not keep up with the busy floors. So I decided to further my knowledge. I chose to get my bachelor's in health information management and seek a career in the field of clinical documentation or case management. I also plan to get my bachelor's in nursing and my RHA certification. The facility that I went to for my PPE was Select Specialty Hospital. It is located on the 3rd floor of the Kaiser Rehab facility that is a separate entity. They lease this space from that facility. Select's specialty corporate office is located in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Select Specialty Hospital has 100 long-term acute care hospitals located in over 43 states. Select Specialty is a long-term acute care hospital. The facility specializes in pulmonary ventilator weaning, wound care, mechanica complex treatments, renal issues, neuro post-trauma, and infections. It is a 30-bed facility that will utilize paper charting, that still utilizes paper charting, but plans to implement Epic in 2019. This slide shows how this organization is structured. They have a very small facility and most all decision making is done through the corporate office located in Pennsylvania. And I just noticed as I was looking through careers and jobs that they are now looking for a new CNO at this facility. So Rhonda's no longer there, I guess. My mentor, Daniel Brown, RHIA, is the HIM manager / credential manager. Her roles and tasks are release of information, scanning of medical records, putting charts together, using LTRACs, and submissions to CMS at patient discharge. The HIM manager is in charge of all medical executive meetings, all credentialing and managing of the physician's applications for privileges, and keeping up with physician credentials. She really has a lot to do. This slide reflects the credentialing process before it reaches the credentialing manager. The physician submits his or her application to the facility. The corporate office conducts a primary source verification. The hospital's credentialing committee approves the application, then it is sent to the board of directors. When they approve the application, then the physician is approved and the application is then sent to the credentialing manager to be completed. This is where Danielle Brown's job comes in, and this is the part that I got to do, or getting to do. The credentialing is a process used to evaluate the qualifications and practice history of the physician. The process includes a review of the physician's completed education, training, residency, and licenses. It also includes any certification issued by a board in the physician area of specialty. This process begins by the physician requesting to have privileges at the facility. They send in their resume, which must include a photo of the physician and a form that is filled out completely. The physician is also required to present themselves in person with a valid photo ID. At Select Specialty Hospital, the CEO and the corporate office perform the thorough background check. This process involves going through all information provided by the physician to double check for accuracy and truthfulness. This includes checking databases for any malpractice lawsuits or any restrictions that may have been placed against the physician. Once the physician's application has been verified, it goes before the board to determine if they will grant the permission for the physician to practice at the facility and to what extent his or her privileges will be. The Joint Commission requires that all physicians be credentialed every 2 years. This is the part that I got to do at the facility. Upon the approval from the governing board and following the procedures must be followed to complete the approval. The appropriate form must be submitted to update the physician's status in MedHost from applicant to approved category status. This takes quite a while to get everything put into the system to make sure that it is accurately documented. I had the opportunity to credential 3 different physicians while there. MedHost was founded in 1984 as a vendor of healthcare financial software. MedHost healthcare management system includes integrated clinical and financial solutions. MedHost also provides healthcare engagement through a health and wellness content site, a patient portal, a condition management app, and an analytic platform. MedHost supports hospitals and healthcare systems with integrated clinical and financial solutions that help streamline billing. They also manage electronic health data and increase workflow efficiency. All credentialing paperwork will be filed in the physician's credentialing folder. Then the completed file is scanned into the Perceptive Content, a document imaging system. Perceptive Content works by capturing documents electronically and storing them on the central server. Perceptive Content can capture any type of document, provides instant access to the document. It helps facilities stay compliant with document retention requirements, and provides access to documents that are shared between offices and across the system. This slide shows a checklist that is used to assure that all processes have been performed. Danielle uses this form to ensure that all things have been completed and in the credentialing process. When she has finished, she double checks everything, and then this form is placed in the shredder box. Once the physician is credentialed, the credentialing manager will set the physician up in contingent worker. This is their login information into the computer system and gets them access to Care 360, a secure portal that allows the physician to send and receive messages and share information. They also make sure that they set up the dictation and that the system is properly working for them. When all is completed, a letter is sent to the physician letting them know that they have been given privileges at the facility. Danielle also updates the physician roster for the hospital and puts out the roster in emails and copies go to the nursing units and unit secretaries. There are many steps in the credentialing process, and all of them must be done accurately and in a timely manner. My PPE experience went well overall. There were many times, though, that I felt somewhat frustrated when asking questions on the report template. I got the answer, corporate does that, and individuals could not give me any reflection on the process. And that was not just one person. It was several different people. The corporate office handles so much that the people at the facility do not know how things work. And they follow what corporate tells them. I did contact the corporate office while there and discuss some of the questions with Amy, the coding manager, which they are separate from the facility. I did not feel comfortable calling the different departments trying to get all questions answered, so I did the best I could. Danielle, my mentor, is new at her position and very young. I did feel that she could have managed her time a bit better, but this will come with time and work experience. Overall, I did feel that she was doing a good job. I got to spend part of the day with the case managers, Gail and Karen. When I would ask questions, I would get the response that is how other facilities do it, but they would not, that is how other facilities do it, but they wouldn't elaborate on how they done things. They did have a very busy day, and I did get to watch them in action. I learned a lot just by sitting back and watching them. I did feel a little disappointed in the fact that I thought I might have a little more interaction and communication with them. Overall, I am glad that I had the opportunity to visit this site and to be able to see how things operated. I have been in nursing for many years, but you are busy doing your own thing and don't realize what others are doing in their roles. I did find this fascinating, and I enjoyed getting to see them perform their job duties and participate in them. Verification process is the most important and time-consuming process of a background check. The information provided by the physician must be double-checked for accuracy and truthfulness. Medical credentialing is increasingly important because it is one procedure that allows patients to confidently place their trust in their chosen healthcare providers through a standardized process involving data collection, primary source verification, and committee review by health plans, hospitals, and healthcare agencies. Patients are assured of their healthcare professionals' merits and experience. With the advent of web services and other technology innovations, credentialing is a prime area for increased efficiency and process improvement. The Joint Commission requires all physicians to be re-credentialed every 2 years, which includes submission of application along with licenses, certifications, liabilities, and history. I enjoyed the entire process and getting a sense of what types of opportunities that are available in the HIM field. I would like to give a big thank you to Katie. You're one of the best instructors that I've had, and I appreciate your time. This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Well, thank you, Sherry. I just had one question about the LTRACs. I don't know what that stands for, and I wasn't sure if that was something that was used to submit billing to CMS or how that worked.
LTRACs is a combined data collection and tool outcomes engine. It's built specifically for long-term acute care facility.
Okay.
And it helps them support the CMS quality reporting as defined in the LTAC CARES data set.
Okay. Okay.
Does that answer that question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Maybe you said it and I missed it. I just wasn't sure.
I couldn't honestly tell you if I said it or not. Tell you.
I don't think I really have any other questions. I'm glad you got to experience the credentialing process. That's definitely something that is unique and kind of a niche. You know, only certain people do that in facilities, and so I'm glad you got to have that experience. Carly and Sonia, do you guys have any questions for Sherry?
No, I didn't have any questions.
Okay.
No, I don't have any questions. You did a great job.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Sherry, thank you. Okay, so now
Now I can breathe.
now you can sit back and enjoy. Okay, so we'll have Carly go next, and I think I'll let's see here. I think I can make Carly a co-host, and then Carly, you should be able to share your screen at the bottom.
Do I need to do anything to my screen, or will hers take over?
I wonder if you can unshare. Can you, or stop sharing?
Share.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
There. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, and then I don't know, I forgot to catch Sherry before she started last time, but if you want to click on the presentation mode down at the bottom, that little,
yeah.
Yep. Perfect. All right. And you can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready, Carly.
Okay. So my professional practice experience was at Mayo Clinic Health Solutions. I was at the facility in Eau Claire. So the reason for this PowerPoint is to give you an overview of the Mayo Clinic Health System, my exploration department, the project I was assigned to, the challenges, and the lesson learned. So Mayo Clinic has many different facilities, a lot in Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa. They also have facilities in Arizona and Florida. They are in the transition of making all of their facilities on the Epic system. Right now, only the Wisconsin and Minnesota sites are on Epic, and the rest of the sites will be going live this year. So that was kind of interesting and hectic to be in the whole process of that. They're also in the process of making it, or all of the Mayos, like an enterprise system, so they will all be having the same job titles and the same job duties and descriptions across the whole board, whereas right now some of the sites are different. So that was also interesting to see that. So the Health Information Management Systems Department at Mayo was a little bit interesting. It was a lot different than I expected it to be. They had the HDI team, so the Health Data Integrity, and the RCM, the Record Management Content departments. Those were the two departments that my mentor Julie oversees. The HDI team takes care of the little things. They pulled charts for the ophthalmology department still, which I thought that was interesting. They're kind of trying to figure out a way not to do that anymore, but the ophthalmologists like to view the actual paper charts. They can just see some little chart better on there. So, but they're the only ones really that they pull charts for anymore, so I thought that was interesting. They also look at like the adoption records and the duplicate records. They also look at the patient conversations and enter anything from those that need to be entered into the system. They also track patients, so patients that come in with multiple names or multiple addresses. I thought that was very interesting. They showed an example of, they called her Mary, and she went to many different facilities. I believe they said over 50 times, and she always used the same first name, Mary, but had a different last name, a different address, a different phone number, all that type of stuff. And then they finally did catch her, so to say. But I thought it was neat that they have all those tools to track that and make sure that that doesn't happen. The RCM team goes through the advanced directives and they enter those into the system. And then the other department that I sat in on was the Release of Information Department and the CCE, which is Completion, Compliance, and Escalation. And unfortunately, I didn't get to sit much with the Completion and Compliance Department, as that is where my project was. So I spent a lot of my time doing my project versus getting to sit with them. The ROI team involved about 8 individuals that were in Eau Claire. They also have some in La Crosse, I believe. And I thought it was interesting that at Mayo, they received the release of information requests, and from there they enter it into the computer system or into the correct area, and then they enter it into the patient chart, and then somebody else goes through and actually prints off that chart for them. So that was kind of interesting to me. And then they also had the indexing and scanning department. They had about 10 individuals in Eau Claire, and then they also had more in like the Rice Lake area, and there was another facility as well. The exploration part of my PPE was with Trudy Steinke, who is also a student at St. Scholastica working on her RHIA. She is one of the coding managers at Mayo. She has 18 years of experience. I've always been interested in coding, and since all of their coders work from home, I thought it would be interesting to sit with her and see her job and see if she could kind of show me what her coders do at home. The coding department at Mayo is actually part of their revenue cycle, which I thought that was very different. So Trudy holds her RHIT, working on her RHIA, and then after she's done with her RHIA, she's going to be working on her master's to hopefully get the next step up or the next position up in their department. She works from home most of the time, so it was nice that she was able to come into the office and spend some time with me. Her job duties, I was a little surprised that she mostly just handled all of the questions that her coders had. She didn't actually do much coding herself, besides if they had troubles or if they couldn't figure something out, sometimes she would handle that. But a lot of the time she just answered questions, and they have work queues which they work out of. So sometimes they had designated work queues that they put stuff into that Trudy would handle because either her staff wasn't quite sure how to do it, or there were a bunch of them that they needed clarification on. And then once they got the clarification, they would go through those queues and correct what needed to be corrected. So like I said, Trudy gets to work from home. She also gets to pick her hours, which she liked. She said it was both a plus and a negative, being that she gets to pick her own hours and works from home. Sometimes she gets, distracted or find some other things to do. Another con she mentioned was she's managing usually 8 employees, and she is on salary, which is great, but can also be a downfall. Overall, what I learned from Trudy is that I'm not 100% sure if coding was for me. I thought that I really enjoyed coding, and it was something that is something that I would like to do. But I learned at Mayo that they have a software system that codes a lot of the records for them, where they just pick out the keywords and it automatically generates the code. So I thought that was very interesting, and I like a challenge when I have a job, so I don't know if that would exactly be for me, but it was neat to see how they do things. My project was titled The Monthly Trending. So the monthly emergency department, inpatient, and clinical record reviews are performed in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Rochester. I only did Wisconsin and Minnesota sites. The data is reported on a spreadsheet and then incorporated into a monthly site summary document. The monthly record review summaries are sent to accreditation leaders in Minnesota and Wisconsin. The site summaries include data for record of care standards with less than 90% compliance on a monthly record review. In addition, the monthly summaries site leads have asked for more detail to trend the data to identify opportunities for improvement in clinical documentation. So that's what I did. I took the information from their reviews and entered it into another Excel document. So the action plan for this was to sort by the region. So they had 4 regions. There was the Southwest Wisconsin, Northwest Wisconsin, Southeast Minnesota, and Southwest Minnesota. And then from there, it was split into the clinics/sites. So each region had 2 to 6 clinics. And then it was split up into the emergency department, the inpatient, and then the clinic review. I read through the documents and had to match up the description on the document to the preset Excel sheet that they had for me. And then had to enter in that data for each site. And if it was below 90%, I had to enter it in red. After that was done, I separated out each description and then made it into a chart so that way I could make it into a graph. So for example, the Southwest Wisconsin had 2 sites, so there were 2 lines on their graph for each of the descriptions showing what percentage they were at each month. This project was very time consuming and it took a lot of patience. It was difficult at times to find where I was supposed to get the data from, as some of the wording was different or it wasn't exactly the same, and some of the words were a little bit off, which made it confusing to know if it was in this group or in another group. But overall, I was able to figure it out and ask for help if I needed to. I had a couple challenges in Excel, trying to figure out how to transfer data from one sheet to another, so that if I changed a number in one, it changed on the other sheet. But after I did some research, I was able to figure out how to do that correctly. As a result, each region can now see where they were lacking in numbers. So anything that was below 90%, like I said, was in red. And then each of the leaders can go through and see where they were excelling or where they needed work on for the providers. Overall, they didn't have too many that were below 90%, and if they did, they were only for a month or 2, and then, they must have taken the correct action so that there wasn't a problem there anymore. Like I said, I ran into a couple problems with this project. I wasn't able to review some of the records that were there that I was supposed to. They weren't actually in the computer, or they weren't anywhere to be found. So I mentioned that to one of the staff there, and they were supposed to find them for me, but they couldn't. So I'm not really sure what happened with that. But I was able to find everything else. Like I said, the wording was a little different, but I was able to get past that and figure out what I needed to do. The biggest challenge that I found on my PPE was getting the questions for our final report answered. I felt like the staff that I sat with didn't really know much more than how to do their job, and that was it. I felt like they didn't know the whole vision of Mayo and what they were trying to portray to their patients. I was able to get a lot of the questions answered by my mentor. We spent probably an hour to an hour and a half just answering all the questions that needed to be answered still, and she had troubles answering some of them as well. She had to look on their intranet. So I thought that was kind of interesting but understandable as well. The biggest lesson I learned was that I think I would like to be in a smaller facility. While Mayo is a great facility, it is huge and there's so much going on. And just comparing it to the job I have now, I do multiple different things a day. I'm constantly doing something different. And the people that I sat with at Mayo, they did one job over and over and over, which is great. But I don't quite think that is for me. But it was definitely a great experience to, do and learn and know what I like and what I don't like. I got the impression at Mayo that, there are too many hands in one pot and things get confusing sometimes because people don't know how to do each other's jobs. But I think with a smaller facility, the vision and the mission is easier to see and easier to portray, not only to the staff, but also to the patients. There was supposed to be a last slide, but I think, there it is, conclusion. So overall, my experience at Mayo was interesting. I was definitely glad that I got to do it, but I don't know if I would pick a facility that big again. I took away many things from this internship, not only about myself, but also the way a manager should act. Mayo definitely has many great managers that I felt like I learned a lot with, and I'm very grateful that I got to sit with. Overall, my experience was definitely one to remember.
Great job.
Good job. Thank you, Carly. So did you get to spend time with Julie on a daily basis, or were you more just with Trudy the entire time?
Well, I was all over.
Okay.
I spent probably a total of maybe 3 hours with Julie.
Okay.
And then otherwise I spent probably 8 hours with Trudy, and then other than that, I was just split off into different departments.
Okay. Okay.
So there were probably about 3 different facilities I went between. So
okay. All right. And so when you say 3 different facilities, were they all in Eau Claire, or were you all over?
So I went to the Menominee site. They had a coder there that I spent some time with, and her name was Kane Naz. I believe she was like the one of the leaders of the Epic implementation, and then otherwise it was 2 or 3 different sites in Eau Claire.
Okay. Okay. And I was kind of curious, had they just gone live with Epic before you got there?
So the Wisconsin clinics went live with Epic in July.
Okay.
And then the the Minnesota sites, I believe they said went in November.
Okay. Okay.
So
things kind of calmed down in Wisconsin then before you got there, and
yes, but the Wisconsin site, or the Wisconsin employees, were also trying to help the Minnesota employees and take care of their workload because they were just learning as well. And with them being a whole enterprise system, they're splitting all the work now.
Got it. Well, very good. It sounds like a interesting experience for you, and
Yeah.
I think it's great that you figured out, that you like a smaller facility and the type of work that you maybe want to avoid.
Right.
So, yeah, very good. All right. Any other questions from Sonia or Sherry?
No questions.
Okay.
I don't have any.
All right.
Except I just wondered how Trudy was. I had some classes with Trudy.
Yeah, she's super sweet. I like spending my time with her. She was funny and made the day go by pretty quick, so that was nice.
Well, that's good.
Good. All right. Okay, Carly, thank you very much. I'll make Sonia a co-host here, and then you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, where do I go?
You go to the bottom of the screen and you'll see a box with like a green arrow coming out of it where you can just click on that and it says share
I
screen.
see.
Yep.
Okay, 1 second.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Give me 1 second. And if you want to go into presentation mode too. All right. You can take it away.
Okay. My name is Asanya Bell. The purpose of my presentation is to share how the professional practice experience allowed me the opportunity to apply my knowledge learned from the classroom to real world. From this experience, I gained valuable work experience. I build upon skills, current skills, and develop new ones while preparing for my HIM and advancement in HIM. My agenda is basically your introduction, oversight of the PPE, overview of the PPE and the department, exploration, PPE project, and my challenges. I also list a mission statement for Novant Health. The mission is Novant exists to improve health of communities and one person at a time. The vision is Novant team will deliver the most remarkable patient experience every dimension, every time. Their values are based on compassion, diversity, inclusion, personal excellence, teamwork, and courage. I actually did my PPE in Charlotte, North Carolina, at their Presbyterian Medical Center location. At this location, they have a total of 622 beds. They have 7,000 employees and over 700 physicians. Also, Presbyterian has been one of the cornerstones in the Charlotte community since 1903. They are one of the largest medical facilities in the region. They offer care throughout the state, across the country as well. As far as their electronic medical records, in October 2013, they rolled out their MyChart, which is a very good system. MyChart is a secure online health management tool that connects their personalized health records from anywhere at any time. MyChart enables streamlined communication between patients and physician care. With MyChart, they have the ability to share, exchange health information. For the benefit for the patient is less paperwork, convenient access to health information, enhance patient safety, maintain affordability. And here is just an example of what MyChart looked like. This is the portal, and it a way for the doctors to communicate with the patients, request prescriptions, access test results, and patients also can manage their appointments. Also, Novant received the Health Information Management System Society Stage Ambulatory Award for adopting the use of electronic health records. They were the first in Charlotte, North Carolina to attain the highest level of the electronic health record use. This award was presented the successful transformation of Novant Health. This actually was a big deal. This is something that my mentor told me basically on the first day. So this is something they were very excited about obtaining. These are a list of all the services. I just couldn't list one. I just put basically all of the services offered. They offer everything, even weight management, wound care, anything you need, they pretty much offer it there. This is the org chart for the HIM Enterprise Department. This is the department I did the majority of my time in. They basically handle release of information, and I'm not sure if you can see, but let me see. This is the revenue cycle, and it begins up here. What I did like is majority of everyone on this chart, they have either their RHIT or RHIA. Majority of them at high level, they had to have their RHIA in order to obtain the position. Right here is Lisa Bell. This is my mentor. She actually was studying for the exam while I was there, and she took it on that Saturday, and I believe she passed her test. And this is her team that reports to her. And she also has some vacant positions, and she's looking for 2 lead positions, and they also need to be credentialed with the RHIA as well. Here is just a chart to show you all of the different team members. I sat with a lot of different team members in the RHIM department. Here is a list of the different locations, and I sat with them, learned their job, and they were able to tell me the do's and the don'ts as far as what the guidelines are for releasing this patient information. What I like most about it is that they were very in tune with the guidelines and were able to request information from, say, the requester, and just to let them know that, hey, you do not have the correct documentation, we need the correct information in order to release the patient information. And here I just listed out all of the release types that I actually sat through and learned how each one of these, what the descriptions are, what is required for the information to be released. For my exploration component, I sat with Kristen Walters. She is the manager of Dimensions Operational Applications, which is part of Novant Health Information Services. She is actually located, her office is in Fort Mill, South Carolina. In order for me to get in the building, I actually had to show my ID, so they're under top security in that area. I think basically because they are health information, they handle the STAR support. I'm sorry, not STAR, but EPIC support for the system. Christian's job basically is to securely manage information systems throughout their life cycle, including knowing that sensitive data is stored, transmitted, or processed on those information systems, enforcing the security principles of least privilege and less functionality. She is responsible for knowing what events may constitute any information security incident and security incidents response activities. She is also responsible for designing information systems that are appropriate for users' need and consist with their overall design of organization information agriculture. I'm sorry, I'm nervous tonight. She is the senior level, which will execute many of the same activities at the intermediate level, but in addition, we'll typically work on a more complex, higher level importance impact projects. Most interesting for me in the mentioned operational applications role was the software, the intent of the networking use of Epic Dimensions. We've been on Dimensions at my area for about maybe 3 years. So to be able to go on the backside and see in information services how they support the team, for me, I found that to be interesting to see. They also use Highland OnBase for their document imaging software, used to document management of patient information. This I thought was very good. We also have that, but I was able to see how it actually works. So that was very interesting for me. I was excited to be able to go into this department and learn. Okay, for my future in HIM, I'm really interested in health information technology, health information management. I can see my future researching trends, improving system performance, data integrity, privacy and security health data. So that is where I am wanting to go and work in the near future. My project is for audit documentation of medical record. My description is to determine whether the existing documentation procedure is in accordance with the medical staff rules, regulations across Novant Health. With this, my purpose was basically just to make sure that all of their documentation was that they have to release, make sure it had all the information in it that was needed before it actually is released out to the coders, before it's released out to any requesters, to make sure that it is not missing any elements that's required. And to carry it out, what took place is I basically sat with all of the HIM staff that I could, and I just watched their process, and I was able to just keep tabs of what was missing, what they had, what they needed, and capture all of the information needed to basically just do a little mini audit. I didn't actually have a project due to some certain circumstances. However, I still was able to come up with a project that I actually did sit through and did take notes on. So that was interesting. So my methodology was I observed and analyzed the situation, but have not intervened in the process. I basically reviewed pre-print structure. It was basically a retroactive study, analyzed data during these state ranges. And these are the list of variables that I reviewed. It's the identification, emergency room documentation, discharge instructions, history and physical progress notes, consultation, op notes, diagnostic, and discharge summary and consent forms. My findings were, I found incomplete progress notes. For example, they were unsigned, undated, insufficient, detailed. Unauthentic medical records, for example, no provider signature, no supervision signature, legible signature without a signature log. Basically, no documentation of intent to order of service, procedures. It was incomplete, missing signed order or progress note describing intent for service. My recommendations was inform the clinical staff of the importance of a legal, accurate medical record shall be maintained for every patient treated as inpatient, outpatient, and emergency patient. The medical record shall obtain sufficient information to identify the patient clearly to support the diagnosis and justify the treatment, and to document the results accurately in a timely manner. All entries shall be accurately dated and timed by the author. The medical record shall also contain evidence of appropriate information, consent for any procedure or treatment which it is appropriate. All caregiver providing services to the patient are authorized to document in the medical record specific forms for the area or in progress notes. Medical records shall be confidential, current, accurate, legible, complete, and secure. And the attending practitioner shall be responsible for the preparation of complete, current, accurate, pertinent, and legible permanent medical records for each of his patients. And here's a list of my references. I basically pulled all the information from the policies that I had. My biggest challenges that I faced was time management, trying to balance the PPE and work full time. I was basically, once I completed it, I would either come home and work or I would go to the office and try to work a couple of hours. My daily commute was a challenge for me. It was just hectic getting there, but I made it on time every time. My biggest lesson was how important protecting health information, HIPAA, how important HIPAA and privacy rules are before releasing any type of patient information. It just sitting with everyone allowed me to see how serious and how important it really is. My aha moment was being able to connect the dots. It just was another thing for me to learn and have under my belt. So that was my aha moment, being able to connect another dot in my process, in the revenue cycle. Conclusion, overall, I really enjoyed my PPE. I was one of those that was kind of kicking and screaming that, I just didn't want to go to another location. I didn't want to really do it, but I had the best experience ever. Lisa, my mentor, was so welcoming. Everyone I met was welcoming. Maybe by the third day, I wanted to just resign from my job and go work at Novant. That's how great it was for me. I learned so much from everyone. Lisa had lined up my schedule to where I was able to get the information I needed to complete the final report. She just really did an amazing job. So overall, I had a good experience. And I want to thank Katie for connecting me with Lisa, because it was really a great experience. Any questions?
Great job.
Yeah, very good. I'm so happy to hear that about Lisa, and just for the rest of you, so you know, she just graduated last year from our program, our undergrad program, and so she's been working in HIM for years, but it was just fun to be able to connect Asanya with her. Just a really great person. So
Yes.
I'm glad you got to have that experience. I was looking here to see if I had any real questions. I like the overview that you gave of the medical center. I had no idea that it was that large. It's huge, and I was kind of curious to know, Does Lisa just oversee that one location at the Presbyterian, or she's got other?
She is like your regional
Okay.
manager. She goes to Virginia. She has 2 locations in Virginia. She actually is over 11 hospitals.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In department, yes.
Okay.
And she travels pretty much. She said sometimes she doesn't even make it to her office, maybe once every 2 weeks.
Really?
Travels all over to North Carolina, to Winston-Salem,
Okay.
to several other facilities as well.
Wow. I had no idea that was her, that she had that much responsibility under her. So I think
Yes.
were you able to spend time with her pretty much every day then during your PPE, or?
Not every single day, but I spent at least, oh boy, maybe 2 days or 3 days out of each week.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I did get to spend a lot of time with. She said it just worked out that she was able to be in the office
Yeah.
those 2 weeks.
Good. Good. When you said that, I thought, oh man, I wonder how much time you got to spend. So that is really great. Great.
Yeah, it worked out great. And actually, when she sent me to the HIM department, one of those days she was over there for meetings, so we
Okay.
were able to connect then as
Good.
well. Yes.
Good. Well, I'm really glad that you found the experience to be beneficial, and I know you were hesitant, and so I'm glad that it all worked out for the best, and that the experience went good. So.
Yes, and I apologize for stuttering. I was just
Oh,
nervous.
everyone's nervous, so you're
That's
definitely not.
okay. You got some Oklahoma hick from me, so that's okay.
Does anybody have any other questions for us, Tanya?
No, she did a great job.
Yeah, great job, you
Thank
guys.
you.
Well, all 3 of you did really great tonight, and I'm going to let you go. We're wrapping up here, and if you can get your evaluations turned in, again, that way, I don't know if Asanya heard me, but so if you go to Unit 2 and you look at the PPE presentation instructions there's a link to the evaluation form. So if you could complete one on your other 2 classmates, that would be great. So,
Okay, thank you. Great.
yeah. Okay, you guys
Bye
have
for now.
a bye.
Thanks.
Have a good evening, you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.